Another neat feature of Desmos 3D is that you can graph vector functions really nicely. So here I've got a vector, v1 is vector, starts at the origin and ends at t, sine of t. And so I just look at different t values. I can actually make it start at like -5 or -6 pi, let's say, -6 pi instead. And go from there, right? So it's just a vector function that the endpoint of which is t comma sine of t, and then t just varies. All right, now if you notice z in this vector function, z is sine of x. And so if I plot that as a surface and I look at the z and x, the zx plane basically, and I allow this vector to change, notice that it traces that along. All right, it's kind of cool. And then if you also notice that the z is also equal to sine of y, and so if I look at the zy plane instead, then it also traces out z equals sine of y. All right, and it's very easy. You can change this up a bit if you want and get different figures. Now I'm going to look at this other one here, the vector that ends at cosine t, sine t, t. Notice that cosine t, sine t in two space is a circle, but if I just vary t, you see that this thing moves accordingly. And since cosine t, sine t are the x and y components, it'll lie on a circle of radius 1. Now if I go up to this little icon right here, that gives you the xy plane, and if I zoom in a bit, you'll see that as I vary t, the vector runs along that circle. Okay, now notice it gets smaller at some points, right? That is because this actually on a it actually is on a helix. So if I look at the helix, let me start it at 0, 0, at 0. Okay, so I'm making now this vector function start at 0. And if I look at the helix, I'm now using u as a new parameter, which will help. Now that I have a solid helix that's static, okay? And now as I vary t, notice that it is really just tracing out this helix. All right, so what you can do is you can see that the allowing for a vector to start at 0, 0, 0 and ending where your helix is, sorry, that's the wrong one, this one, ending where the helix is you can see that it traces it out. This is how a vector function traces out a space curve.